Hi guys, and welcome to a new video. David Reimer's tragic story is the primary proof that the gender identity theory is an absolute disaster and a scam. Most people who see my video tend to think that I am against the LGBTQ community or I'm against LGBTQ rights. That is not at all what I am saying. I have huge respect for the LGBTQ community and every one of those letters, and my support for them is 100%. What I am criticizing or even rejecting is the notion that gender is a social construct or that gender does not exist because of the presence of the LGBTQ community. So basically I'm just rejecting an ideology based on the theory that gender is a social construct and nothing more, because LGBT doesn't prove that gender is socially constructed. Are human sex roles binary? That is, do only man and woman exist and only get attracted to the opposite sex? Well, not really, as the evidence shows. LGBTQ, that is lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgenders, and even intersex people, they all exist. But does that prove that gender is now a social or a culturally created construct? No, it does not. Gender or the sex roles or sex has very significant genetical and biological components that are evolutionary and essential for the survival of the human species, just as they are socially or culturally promoted. The masculine and feminine still can exist and they have important functions in the society. It's just that some people may not fall so neatly into those categories, but that does not mean that those categories need to go away now. If you say that any kind of distinction or discrepancy requires dismantling the status quo or dismantling the entire system, that's Marxist thought right there. We don't want Marxism in our culture, especially in the most basic premise of our culture. Here is the story of Dr. John Money and how he kind of destroyed David Reimer and his twin brother's life. Brian and Bruce Reimers were twins, and this is how their story unfolds. The Reimer family sought the help of the self-proclaimed missionary of sex, John Money, after the child had a horrible accident. David Reimer at that time was called Bruce Reimer. He had a medical accident during circumcision which burned his penis to an extent that it could not be saved anymore. And there was this brilliant sexologist going, gender was interchangeable anyway, what's the big deal? And the solution was, of course, the same solution that the surgeons and sexologist John Money had for the intersex people, to raise David Reimer, a biological male, as a girl. Nothing wrong is going to happen with that. So Bruce became Brenda. It's a crime that he was called that, by the way. And Money told the parents, never let the child know his true history. Never let the child know that he was born a man. But apparently David Reimer always knew that he was not a girl. He used to rip off his girl clothes as a toddler even. He used to always be standing. He was so rough and harsh and he was always breaking things. He could not behave anything like a girl was expected to behave, to the point that he was called a cave woman. He was thoroughly bullied and he was even threatened to be knifed if he continued with his behaviors. Money obviously published the results of this experiment as a success story and without ever revealing the identity of the family. And this case was called as John case. The picture Money painted about this experiment was that it was a great success story, that he was successfully able to transform a biological male, a person who is supposed to be a man, into a girl. After undergoing hormonal therapy and looking like a girl, Mani just proclaimed that he was a girl and he felt like a girl and he thought like a girl and he acted like a girl. But later on, when David Reimer himself came out with his story, he says that he never felt normal in his skin. He never felt like a girl, and somewhere deep in his unconscious, he knew that he was a boy. He had severe gender dysphoria throughout his life, and he threatened to commit suicide at the age of 13. That's a story all in itself. So David Reimer had a twin. They were twins. One was raised as a boy, another was raised as a girl. And they both had to attend Mani's therapy sessions every week or every month. And in those therapy sessions, Brian, the twin, alleges John Mani abused them. And he did all those abuse in the name of healthy childhood sexual exploration. Whatever the hell that meant. Showing the children explicit sexual pictures was seemingly central to Mani's theories of gender reassignment. David Reimer later recalled as Brenda getting yelled at by Mani. He told me to take my clothes off and I just did not do it. I just stood there and he screamed no. I thought he was going to give me a whooping. So I took my clothes off and stood there shaking. Mani allegedly made Brenda assume a position on all fours on his office sofa and made Brian come up behind her on his knees and place his against her buttocks. And elements of Mani's theory he referred to as sexual rehearsal play. In 1980, maybe because the father couldn't take any of it anymore, the father of David Reimer confided in him and told him that he was born a man. By age 21, Reimer had received testosterone therapy and surgeries to remove his breast and reconstruct a penis. He married Jane Fontaine, a single mother of 3, on September 22, 1990. The story goes on where the twins lives in deep trauma for years, where they have had relationship problems and problems holding on jobs. Reimer's brother, who suffered from depression and schizophrenia, died from an antidepressant drug overdose. In 2002, on May 2, 2004, Reimer's wife told him that he wanted a divorce. 2 days later, at age of 38, Reimer committed suicide by firearm. So David Reimer actually turned out to be the proof that gender identity theory is wrong. Again, I'm not saying that gender dysphoria is not a thing. Of course it is. A boy being brought up as a girl had severe gender dysphoria. The problem is when saying that gender is reversible or gender can be manipulated and reassigned, and you can just be whatever you want as long as you have enough medical advancements to enable that. That is the problem. It's not the 1970s or 80s anymore, and today we have absolute evidence that Dr. John Mani was wrong and that he was literally lying to the entire world. But for some reason, people actually take that as the right thing and it's the only way forward for humanity, and they adopt that theory or ideology into their lives and they try to push it on everyone. So why do we do that? More importantly, why do we teach an ideology in colleges and schools that have no scientific value or is based completely on fraud and lies? So who is behind this overwhelming agenda of pushing the gender identity theory into the society, and why and what do they have to gain from that? So I hope you liked this video. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. More importantly, what do you think about David Reimer and what Dr. John Mani did to David Reimer? Please tell me in the comment section. For a more detailed version of the story and who Dr. John Money really was, you can see my last video on that. I will share the link here, or it will also be in the description. Thank you for watching. Have a great time. I've published my first book, a novel named Life in a Ziploc Bag. It's the story of 4 kids living in a city with their unique life experiences. I don't want to give it all away right here. You can check it out on Amazon or Flipkart. It's also available for direct buying. All these links are given in the description. If you are interested, please go and check it out and grab your copy right now. Thank you.